Presented by Listen Headlines, latest world news from trusted sources.
Time, August 19, 1731 America, New York. The Outsider unpacks the controversy behind the National September 11 Museum and Memorial. Ahead of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, a new documentary chronicles the controversy around the creation of the National September 11 Memorial and Museum and goes behind the scenes to explore the purpose of the site, which opened in 2014. Time, August 19, 1711 America, New York. RushTok is a mesmerizing viral trend. It also amplifies sororities' problems with racism. While what goes into the curation of every TikTok user's For You page remains a mystery, one thing has become clear: content from University of Alabama students vying for a spot at the school's sororities has dominated the app over the last week.
New York Times World News. August 19, 1701 America, New York. What is Sharia law? The Taliban have pledged that women will have rights, within the bounds of Islamic law. What that means depends on who is interpreting it. A Taliban fighter walking past a beauty salon in Kabul on Wednesday.
ABC News International. August 19, 1657 America, New York. Syria. Air defenses respond to Israeli strikes near capital. Syria's state media are reporting Israeli airstrikes around the country's capital, Damascus. Fox World News. August 19, 1654 America, New York. Living in Kabul now. No one feels safe, woman tells Fox News. Taliban spokesmen say they will allow women to participate in the country they plan to run, unlike their harsh treatment of women and girls in the past. But many are skeptical. ABC News International. August 19, 1640 America, New York. Army says attack on Malian military convoy kills at least 15. Mali's military says gunmen have ambushed an army convoy, killing at least 15 soldiers.
Time, August 19, 1624 America, New York. The Taliban are promising inclusivity and amnesty in Afghanistan. But some officials predict bloodshed. As the black-turbaned mullahs of the Taliban gather in Kabul and Kandahar to hash out how they'll govern, the decisions they make will offer the world clues to whether they remain the same brutal regime that controlled Afghanistan before the U.S.
New York Times World News. August 19, 1617 America, New York. UN General Assembly. U.S. wants event scaled back. The annual General Assembly meeting would ordinarily attract scores of heads of state and other top officials to New York. But American officials say it should be mainly virtual again this year for safety's sake. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada and other leaders addressed the 75th annual UN. RT World News. August 19, 1558 America, New York. Polish Regional Council votes to retain LGBT-free stance despite risk of €2.5 billion EU funding loss. A Polish regional assembly has decided against revoking a 2019 decision promoting LGBT-free zones in spite of receiving a warning from the European Commission of having more than €2.5 billion cut from EU funding. New York Times World News. August 19, 1554 America, New York. With collapse in Afghanistan, Russia takes charge in Central Asia. Along with Pakistan and China, Russia has gained broad influence in security matters at the expense of the United States and India. Russian troops participating in joint military exercises with Uzbekistan and Tajikistan this month near the Tajik-Afghan border.
Wall Street Journal World News. August 19, 1552 America, New York. Quake hit Haiti, failed to learn building lessons after 2010 disaster. Haiti passed a new building code after the earthquake devastated the country's capital more than a decade ago, but rules have been rarely enforced and quake-proofing efforts weren't always extended to regions outside the capital. Wall Street Journal World News. August 19, 1535 America, New York. Putin rejected role for U.S. forces near Afghanistan at summit with Biden. Russian President Putin at the June summit rebuffed U.S. plans to keep forces in Central Asia, a key element of the U.S. Afghanistan withdrawal.
Time, August 19, 1529 America, New York. Amazon's reported plans for department stores' Royals big box retail industry. News of Amazon.com Inc.'s department store plan sent a shudder through retail stocks just as some of the biggest names in the industry were reporting robust earnings, a signal that new challenges await in the beleaguered sector.
Mirror World News. August 19, 1523 America, New York, hotel quarantine escapee snuck out for 8-hour pub crawl in McDonald's run. Paul McElhinney, 33, apologized to the court claiming he was grieving the death of his father after he snuck out of the hotel via the fire escape in Australia on August 3.
Fox World News. August 19, 1507 America, New York. Chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan harms U.S. power abroad, leaves allies questioning the United States. Chabot. Representative Steve Chabot questioned whether allies still trusted and enemies still feared the United States after a chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan left the Taliban in control and gave China a foothold in the region.
New York Times World News. August 19, 1507 America, New York. Your Friday briefing. A second day of protests against the Taliban. Armed Taliban members confronted protesters at Pastanistan Square as they rallied in celebration of Afghan Independence Day in Kabul, Afghanistan, on Thursday.
ABC News International. August 19, 1507 America, New York. Erdogan says Turkey is not Europe's refugee warehouse. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has called on European nations to shoulder the responsibility for Afghans fleeing the Taliban and warned that his country won't become Europe's refugee warehouse.
Mirror World News. August 19, 1500 America, New York. First look inside Madeleine McCann's suspect's sinister cellar, dungeon, dug under home. The Mirror is the first newspaper to gain access to the creepy site and inspect the grim, dank cellar in convicted pedophile Christian Bruckner's former home in Germany. Mirror World News. August 19, 1455 America, New York. Afghanistan's biggest female pop star manages to escape Kabul on U.S. Air Force plane. Aryana Saeed, 36, who was also a judge on Afghanistan's version of The Voice, fled the Taliban in Kabul with her husband Hasib Sayed on a U.S. Air Force military plane.
RT World News. August 19, 1440 America, New York, UK. France and Germany criticize Iran's uranium enrichment despite nuclear deal falling apart due to U.S. withdrawal and sanctions. London, Berlin and Paris have once again expressed their concerns over Iran's continued uranium enrichment to ever higher levels. Such action would make a return to the nuclear deal more difficult, the three nations say.